And we're back
with another weekly episode of The Catch.
How's it feel to be back, HG?
Always an absolute pleasure. Brandon Burns.
Am I the only person that calls you HG?
Yeah, pretty much.
You responded to my HG with my full name. Why didn't you go BB?
Well, BB, I mean, what are you, the gun? Come on.
Honoree. You like that, don't you?
Let's get stuck in.
Yes.
You are ludicrous, mate.
The Catch is a fun weekly episode for all the updates and happenings in the world.
100%, but what's your weekly catch, mate?
Oh, you're not going to like this.
Oh, here you
Or
go.
maybe you will. So I was watching the news on Monday morning. So I was doing something you never do, watching live-to-air television because
True,
I'm
true.
older than you.
Yep.
But it's just a little thing in the morning. And I'm watching the Today Show, and it's like, in breaking news, Anthony Albanese has announced that the pandemic leave payments are back and available and will be online within 24 hours. And you'll be able to access and get backdated to the 1st of July.
Yep.
And it's like, it was almost like they were announcing, like, Myers' latest stock takes sale. Rest assured, the doors have opened and you can get back on. And it's like, I was mortified.
Yeah.
I understand that people are a little confused and they want to do the right thing, but they also don't want to get disrupted if they can't go to work and make money.
Yep.
And for all those people that don't have a full-time gig and have sick leave, they need this disaster payment relief thing or whatever. But the way it was billed, it was like just a popularity contest. It's like he was going to scrap it.
Yeah.
And then surprise, he didn't want to be unpopular.
Well,
it's only been like
he was
3
scrap
months.
it, and then from what I heard, all the state premiers flipped it
Well,
out.
but then the way they announced it being back online and available, it's like, oh my God, that is what is so wrong with this country, mate. It's that we're celebrating payments for all being back available. It's like,
yeah, but I mean, like that's like the beauty of Australia because we're like a centre-left, dictionary definition.
What else did I hear
sense
Elbow
liberal
saying? He
democracy.
said there was $3 trillion of debt when I got here yesterday, and there's $3 trillion of debt today. It's not going away anytime soon. It's like, is that what you say to absolve yourself of anything that you do that's wasteful or not in the best interest of our financial side of things in this country now?
Take your pick. Like, what do you want? People like being wasteful because they're just like giving mates rates and jobs to all their best consulting friends, or do you want people being wasteful by spending it on social programs and actually like building the country infrastructure projects?
That's to keep in line with my catch, because that question's slightly different. What I want is, he said he would stop the payments.
Yeah.
Stick to it.
Yeah.
We didn't need to crank those back up again, mate. Get rid of them, and then we all the tide turns a bit and we all go, oh yeah, because we've got to get used to learning to live with this.
True.
We don't just, say, oh, we're going to stay home and get the payments and it's all good. Like, we need to get on with it. And I think one part of it is taking away the things that make it easy for people to just isolate. But
like, what's the payment? Like a couple of $100 or something?
No, it's about $900. If you're like a casual and you
Over
can't...
what? Like 2 weeks?
No, it's 7 days you have to isolate for now, not 2 weeks.
So you just get $900 for the 7 days?
Yeah, and then if you get sick leave from your employer, you can take that. And then depending on how much you work, it might be a little less.
Yeah.
But either way, that's a lot of money, Henry.
Depending on how many people take
And
it.
no one wants to be the person that says, hey, maybe we can't afford to dish out this amount. And what do you think happens when someone or something is in debt? It's easy to get into more debt because it's just like,
but,
I'm already there.
I'm going to stop you right there because, like, governments are not people, Like, a government, I think, shouldn't have any more in the bank except for, like, what it needs for its operational costs. Because, people are getting taxed every year and the government takes a pretty big percentage of that $900 back. Because they're spending it on groceries, they're spending it on, going out.
But I don't think our government's necessarily got just a stockpile of money compared to the amount of debt they've incurred that they need to pay back.
Yeah, but then
you need to have money in reserve, but also you need to have it there to be able to be fluid to go, you know what, it was working putting X amount over here into this program and support, and it's working putting it over there, but now circumstances have changed and we've got to be able to And if you don't have any to be able to do that, it's a lot harder because then all you can do is say, hey, we're going to tax more, or we're going to go and find it. We're going to take it off these people elsewhere to be able to fund more of doing this. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Like, there's going to come a point where we're going to have to cut the cord on the payment side. I don't think anyone in America gets any form of disaster pandemic relief
except
payment.
for the fact that they're in like some tens of trillions of dollars worth of deficit debt, and yet they just ratified like another $600 billion for their defense budget. So I mean, like, technically they do have a disaster plan. It's just called the American military. But you know, like, I would rather people getting money that's at least going to stimulate the economy by going back in, even if that's just 100 out of the 900 they're getting, than being like America and being like, well, you know what'll fix this rampant cost of living rise? More nuclear bombs.
But instead of a pandemic relief payment, why don't they just give them a $900 voucher that you can only use on your utility gas electricity bill, or $900 you can only use at the grocery store, or $900 that you can only use on fuel?
Well, because I guess they don't want to be forced into like empowering like one specific industry over the other.
Oh, of course. And it takes too much time to work that out. I get it. It'd take too much time to go, you can have this money, but only for these things. Then it'd just cost more trying to police that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, they're the things, it's designed, isn't it? Because someone can't go to work to pay their bills.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we need
to
someone to be given money, Henry, to stimulate the economy. I think they need money to be able to cover the missed work they weren't able to complete.
Yeah. But then also
the next question is, mate, how many people are getting around with it but not telling anyone because they don't want to disrupt their working life or their current circumstance because they're over it and they just physically need to work.
Yeah, but what's like the process for like getting it? Do you have to like, surely you would have to like prove that you've been out of work for like a week or something? Well,
no, because you self-isolate now and you self-report on your test.
Okay.
So you do a rat test and say, oh, I've got it. Done.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's
but then it's a good way to balm the cost of living increases as well.
What, by giving people more money?
Yeah, well, if like you I think it recently came out that like apartments in Melbourne are going up $20 a week in rent, and then houses are going up $10 a week on average. So I mean, it's a good way to assuage that to a degree. But
well, that's my catch, mate.
So exciting.
Don't let me bring it down into it. It's just
fuck socialism.
Well, no, it's more so. It's just like, we all know what is the most expensive thing right now. I can tell you from my circumstance, it's groceries.
Yep.
It's fuel in my car. It's electricity and gas for my house.
Yep.
They are like the four things that would come to mind that I'd tell you immediately are way more expensive than 20 years ago, but even way more expensive comparatively than 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can thank all the global tumultions with the fuel stuff, but...
Well, the excise is dropping soon. So that's going to be interesting to see how many people choose not to commute or they choose not to drive every day. And then what flow-on effect does that have?
Yeah.
Because I don't see everyone finding spare money all of a sudden just go buy an electric car. And I don't hear anyone who owns an electric vehicle talking about how much bigger their electricity bill at home is as a result.
Yeah.
But if you're plugging in a vehicle to your electricity every day to charge it, tell me that is not giving you an absolutely skyrocketed electricity bill.
It would 100%.
So you're not making a saving really because you're paying for it in your electricity bill.
You might get it in the long term, and then hopefully...
What long term? Well, there's a battery that... Oh, man.
If people are going to own the car for at least like 10 years, maybe you're going to end up like saving like a couple of grand. But
well, it'll be interesting to see how long electric cars last, hey? Are they supposed to last like, I don't know, twice the amount of a petrol car? I don't know.
Surely they aren't going to last as long just because they're a newer technology. So
they'd almost want to, wouldn't they? Because then it's like... Otherwise, I saw an article where they said electric vehicles, the price is coming down, right? And it's becoming more aligned, which just makes me laugh because it makes me feel like all those early adopters and wankers who drive Teslas and they paid a premium. What for? They're ugly.
Yeah.
and they're just going to become more common now anyway.
Yeah, well, it'll go into all the hybrid stuff, I reckon. First will be the majorly adopted things. I mean, you'll always have your outliers who are just like weird older generation people who are like, no, petrol is the way.
I find that I see a lot of old dudes driving Teslas.
Yeah.
Because it's like a way to flex and feel like they're a bit younger and groovier and current.
Yeah, but like,
I drive a Tesla.
Why pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars for a Tesla when you could easily get like some hybrid like BMW or something like that, you know? And still have your flex of like a nice luxury sedan.
I heard one person describe
you don't have like an iPad as a dashboard.
An iPad, a huge iPad, yeah. I wonder how many people try to steal them thinking they're an iPad, but they're actually not. They're a part of the car.
Yeah,
but I heard someone describe the acceleration of an electric vehicle, or a Tesla in particular, akin to like an electric drill.
Yeah.
So you know when it presses an electric drill, it just goes.
Yeah.
There's no building momentum. It's on.
Yeah.
But then equally, it's off.
Yeah, right.
Which would be the weirdest feeling.
It would be odd.
The moment you take your foot off the accelerator, it's all base load gone.
Yeah, I guess you still have your momentum that you would have gained and all those other scientific things.
Yeah.
But my catch of the week is entirely different and a little bit more lighthearted. But it's actually my Fury of the week, mate.
Fury?
So I went to go see Thor, the new Thor movie, Love and Thunder, on, I think it was July 7th. And I thought it was really good, you know. It was everything you could want. Good gags.
Do you think action. American audiences will be picking up the Kiwi accent?
Yeah, 100%. But the thing that really steamed my clams is reviewers and people are coming out being like, oh, it's too jokey. It's too silly. It's like, what did you expect? It's a Marvel movie. It's made for 13-year-olds.
I saw the same thing, and I think they were vindicated when I read the other day that they led the box office.
Well, it got 143 million in its opening weekend.
It
dominated.
And it smashed Minions, I think, was the only one competing. Top Gun and Jurassic Park and that are still hanging around.
And obliterated everybody else.
So is that the true measure? It doesn't matter how crap a film
then it
is.
Means they'll just make another one because it made money. But it just annoyed me that people were like, oh, it's too jokey. It's too silly. It's like, all right, well, real talk. If you want serious Marvel, I'm sorry, but that's never going to exist.
But isn't that where it's all headed now? All Robert Downey Jr. has been so successful with Iron Man because he's funny, He's dry and he's funny.
Spec. That's like what people want. And also, spoiler alert for all you people over the age of 15, it's not marketed to you, mate, because you are not going to flash out another $60 on the video game, another $20 on the merch, another $40 on the toy, you know? They don't care about you. Like, they're going straight for the 13-year-olds that aren't going to get reamed socially for wearing a Captain America t-shirt.
Are they going straight for the 13-year-olds, or are they even more targeted? They're going straight for the 13-year-old boys? Because I once heard a statement around how most modern day cinema is now purely targeted at that 13-year-old boy.
Well, I'm sure there would be.
Because if you think about it, they are probably the most engaged and hyper active person who's going to consume like you just described.
Yeah, 100%.
A girl is not going to do that.
Well, at least
because girls would gain less.
True. And then at least we got female Thor, played by Natalie Portman and all that kind of stuff, which was great. I thought it was very good. And they did
She was good in it, was she?
Yeah, well, they did the official comic storyline. It's been out for long enough now that I'm just going to spoil it. So if you don't want spoilers, I don't know, turn off this bit. But the way it works in the comic books is that Thor becomes unworthy of wielding the hammer. Right?
Unworthy?
You are unworthy, Thor. Because the bad guy from this film essentially makes the theological argument that gods are pointless because they never answer prayers and all this kind of stuff, which is fair enough, but also like, why are you praying to a pagan deity? Like, come on. We all know in the Marvel universe you've got to be praying to the big dogs like Galactus and all that kind of stuff.
Dogs.
But so Jane Foster, his ex-girlfriend, picks up the hammer. She becomes Thor. But at the same time, she has cancer, treatable cancer, right? But because the hammer transforms her with magic, it purges all the chemotherapy from her body. So she's on a ticking clock of how long she can wield this power without dying. And then they do the same plot in the movie, but speed it up a bit because obviously Natalie didn't want to be in, 7 different Thor movies, right? Which was great. It was a bit, there's your serious bit for you. But yeah, people being like, oh, it's too jokey, it's too silly. Well, you've got multiple different properties that you can go look at if you want.
So are we not going to see any more Natalie Portman in Thor?
Nah, she'll be dead. She might come back for maybe the next big Avengers or whatever's going on.
But
because she still exists in it. But yeah, she's gone. If you want your serious superhero content, go on Amazon Prime. You've got Invincible, season 1. That's absolutely great. That's more.
Who's starring?
That's J.K. Simmons and what's his name? Ewan from The Walking Dead. Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Oh, yes.
He's the other main guy.
Amazon Prime.
And, Sandra Oh, she's in that as well.
Sandra Oh from Killing Eve and Grey's Anatomy.
Yep. So if you want your more superhero in the superhero world, that's what you go for. That's a great one. If you want your what if superheroes are real, you've got The Boys. We've got 3 seasons of that, and it's absolutely killer. You cannot watch if you're under 18. I tell you that right now. Do not watch it. And even then, I'm 27. It still scarred me a little bit. But there's and then if you really want to get dark, you can go and watch your DC stuff. They just put the Injustice movie on Netflix, the animated one, where the Joker steals Lois Lane, kidnaps her, ties her heart to a detonator for a nuclear warhead, and then when Superman goes to find her, he infects Superman with Scarecrow's fear toxin laced with kryptonite, which makes Superman see his own wife as Doomsday, his ultimate enemy. He then takes her up in orbit as he's flying her up at 17 times the speed of sound. Batman screaming in his ear, being like, "Stop, Clark, what are you doing?" He gets up there, the fear toxin purges from his body, and his dead wife is floating in front of him in orbit. Then the nuclear warhead goes off in Metropolis. Boom. That's it. All of Metropolis dead. He comes back down. Batman has the Joker in the cell, and he's like, "What have you done, dude? Like, why have you done this?" To which the Joker responds, 1, I was tired of losing to you, and you lost your parents, and look what it made of you. What is it going to make of Superman? Superman flies in, kills him, and that's the whole beginning of Superman taking over the world, where he's like, enough is enough. There's no more chances for people. Like, literally, people it's some made-up Middle Eastern countries. Superman puts a worldwide ceasefire in place. Nobody commits any acts of war. If you do, I'm coming for your ass, quote Superman, paraphrasing. These 2 made-up Middle Eastern nations start shooting rockets at each other. Superman rolls up, gathers up all the leaders, locks them in a room, looks at them straight in the eye, puts his hands on the table, and he's like, "Come to a deal." His eyes light up, or I will make you, right? Like, dude, he takes over the whole world, and it's like, is he doing the wrong thing? He's like leading us to a better future, but we have no freedom anymore. There's your serious superhero stuff for you. Don't go looking at Chris Hemsworth to, make you think about Thor. If you really want to think about Thor, how come everybody in the Marvel universe is like, dude, Thor, that's totally chilling, but Hulk, oh, that's a bit reckless. Thor is a foreign national from a different state who has superpowers, a foreign state that now occupies an area of Earth with superpowered beings that a regular human would have no chance against. Ask those questions,
Do you think that, you're a fan, right? And you could be a super fan, I don't know.
I love all superheroes.
But do you think the people who star in the shows like Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman and the others, do you think they know as much about it to the level of detail that you do?
I think they get like an executive summary. I think it's like, all right, this is what your character does in the comic books, on like an A4 page, couple of 100 words. There you go.
Really?
I don't think any of them.
So what happens when they actually cast someone who's like you, an absolute just super fan? I wonder if it makes the movie and the role and the person playing it better. Like, was Ryan Reynolds
a Deadpool fan?
Yeah.
I think he was.
Die Hard, yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was really into it. But
imagine if you could get one of the most super fans to actually play the role. I reckon that'd be fascinating.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I think the casting, that's all well and good in the way it is now, as long as you get the right person for the job. The real people that you need to be the super fans are the people that craft, like, the major storylines and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we saw it with the Star Wars Episode 7 to Episode 9. I mean, Disney was like, oh, these guys are trendy actors, trendy directors, let's put them in, and then just bombed. Like, it made money, but now they're so terrified of even remotely going outside of the original 6 movies that they'll never do it again.
Oh, really?
They're terrified of it because they got review bombed into the ground. I think, like, Last Jedi has a review score of, like, 2 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, like, it's
so
film.
Wasn't J.J. Abrams in charge of that? And
he did 7 and 9, and they brought in Rian Johnson for Episode 8.
So if anyone could save it, other than George Lucas, who's probably not interested, who could save it if they did try?
Anybody who did their goddamn research. I mean, like, Star Wars goes from
let's call out a name that the people listening would know. Who's like is it a Spielberg thing? No. Is it a Scorsese thing? No.
Well, it just needs somebody to take like a back seat. Like, I don't know who you would get to do it because Star Wars isn't really a place for like...
Backseat to who?
Well, backseat just to like the storylines that kept Star Wars alive. Like, if you think Return of the Jedi comes out in what, like 80 something, right? Early 80s. And then all the way up until 1999, we didn't get a new movie, right? Yet Star Wars made more money than it ever did from the movies in that period of time. With all the expanded universe. They kept the stories going with books, video games, comic books, all that kind of stuff, and people ate it up. People loved it because it was awesome. And they brought in new Sith that were really, really relatable, that you could completely understand. So, like, for example, in the expanded universe, at the end of episode 6, the Republic comes back to be a thing. It demilitarizes the whole galaxy. Everyone's like, yep, this is pretty chill. Then an extragalactic invader comes in, the Yuzang Vong, who are completely ridiculous in terms of their abilities, and they just dominate. They take over the whole galaxy, right? So then a new Sith rises, who's the character that Kylo Ren is based on, who then comes to the fore and he's like, well, Palpatine's empire wouldn't have fallen. I mean, if we had millions of Star Destroyers, we could have fought this battle, but instead you were all too concerned with the ethics of running the galaxy than actually protecting the galaxy. So I'm going to take it over and make it safe for regular people again, you know? Mm-hmm. Or you could do some of the storylines. I think my favorite Expand Universe storyline comes from the Star Wars massive multiplayer online game, SWTOR, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which...
SWTOR,
where you play as like a James Bond-esque character who works for the Sith Empire. But the whole spec of it is your final act is a group that's essentially the Illuminati, right? Like a galactic-wide conspiracy. And they're like, why should we, the trillions of people of the galaxy, be at the beck and call of like a couple of thousand people who wield glowing swords? Because that's where all war comes from. Like every, couple of 100 years, we're forced to die in the billions just because they're having a religious beef. Fuck that. Like, let's kill them all. Let's wipe them all out, and then we can finally be safe. These universes are just waiting for somebody to come along and crack open the golden egg inside them. But instead, people just, either waffle on about dumb shit or get fed up or get angry because Thor does funny stuff, and it's awesome.
That is another episode of The Catch. Henry Glenn.
Politics and superheroes.
Brennan Burns. Now, if you want a show just like this, want your own podcast, want to sound like this, want to watch something like this, head to gettorched.com. That's GETTORCHT.com.
Oh, yeah.
We'll help you out. And what are the socials?
The socials are the Catch Podcast Social on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to hit us up on Twitter, we are Catch with a capital C _podcast with a capital P _.
Ooh,
take us away.
The Catch. Signing off. Under the light.